At this moment, most of the violet scales covering his body had shattered, revealing torn flesh beneath. His appearance was grotesque, and as he staggered backward, a piercing shriek tore through the heavens. This was a death trap, a moment of life and death for Mystic Tone Dao Venerable. Great Wasteland Poison. The Oath Talisman is in my hand. Let's see how you face the Oath of Faith. As he retreated, Mystic Tone Dao Venerable waved his right hand, and in an instant, the talisman formed from Great Barren Sage's incense vow appeared. Clenching the talisman tightly, Mystic Tone Dao Venerable crushed it. With a thunderous roar, the talisman shattered into countless crystalline lights. At that moment, within the dark palm print pursuing him relentlessly, Great Barren Sage's face turned pale, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Yet, his expression showed no sign of weakness. Moving forward, he sneered, "The cultivation I practice is unlike yours. It seizes the very fortune of heaven and earth. A mere oath talisman of faith cannot truly wound me. One mouthful of blood, that's all it takes." As Great Barren Sage vomited blood, in the ancient star of antiquity outside the ancient tomb-sealed land, his true body sat cross-legged upon a savage star. There, too, he spat out blood, and in the very instant that blood was expelled, every living being on the savage star, even the mountain and river spirits, withered in the blink of an eye. The world turned to yellow sand and ruin. The savage star itself aged through eternity in an instant and became a dead star. Inside the sealing ground of the ancient tomb, Great Barren Sage raised his right hand, summoning a surge of dark wind as his massive palm print charged toward Mystic Tone Dao Venerable. In that split second, the 5 fingers of the palm abruptly transformed. The index finger became a 100-zhang-long pitch-black centipede, its antennae long and its twisted body terrifying beyond belief. It hissed and roared upon appearing, instilling fear. The remaining 4 fingers flashed with light and each morphed, one into a 100-zhang black serpent with a single horn on its head, another into a giant black spider, followed by a massive scorpion with a lashing tail that seemed capable of tearing through the void. The thumb turned into a monstrous toad, its back covered in grotesque bulges radiating unimaginable toxicity. The 5 poisons erupted at once, accompanied by a foul wind and piercing screeches, charging directly at Mystic Tone. At their center was Great Barren Sage himself. As he performed incantation gestures, he spewed a mouthful of poisonous gas, not at Mystic Tone, but back at his own face. The gas instantly fused into his features. In a heartbeat, the visage of the body hosting his split soul morphed entirely. His once sallow, blackened face began to rot, emitting a putrid stench, writhing bizarrely until it fully took on the likeness of his true self. His face was covered in scars, lips pierced through by 3 metal needles. Beneath his tangled hair, his eyes glinted with bone-chilling cold. 40,000 years ago, I refined the 3 immortals of the Great Desolate into needle seals to seal my lips. Today, in killing you, I shall show you why I must seal my own mouth. 3 immortals, unseal. A deep growl echoed from within him. As the image of his true form appeared, the 3 needles sealing his lips burst through the flesh and flew out. They turned into 3 streaks of black light shooting toward Mystic Tone. At the same time, Great Barren Sage's lips slowly parted. While retreating, Mystic Tone Dao Venerable waved his hands before him, and thunderous roars erupted out of thin air. The noise grew louder and louder until it drowned out every sound in the world. A vast violet ocean took shape around him, its waves crashing with a deafening roar. Sound Dao and Water Dao fused into a sea. This was the oceanic roar. The roar of the sea, the voice of heaven, earth, and ocean combined. Amplified 1,000-fold, the sound had the power to destroy all creation. The booming waves surged violently, and the entire sealing ground began to collapse. Even the nearly 100 cultivators on the ground were caught in it, unable to escape. Under the roar of the sea, they screamed in agony as their bodies exploded one by one. The sealing ground disintegrated rapidly. In a blink, it shattered, and waves of mist from the outside flooded in, merging completely with the mist sea. Wang Lin reacted instantly. At the very moment Mystic Tone Dao Venerable unleashed his divine ability, he swept his sleeve, gathering all the mosquito beasts, and stepped forward to stand opposite Great Barren Sage, once again forming a pincer attack. Now, as he advanced toward Mystic Tone, light flickered across his body, resisting momentarily. Meanwhile, the thunder diagram burned before him, offsetting the deafening oceanic roar. Realm of Sea Dwellers, open. Mystic Tone bellowed skyward. Behind him, in the crumbling heavens, a massive rift tens of thousands of zhang wide tore open. Within the rift was a starry sky, but no cultivation stars. Instead, It revealed a violet sea teeming with life. Countless beings resided within, every one of them faith sea dwellers, born of Mystic Tone Tao Venerable's incense power. As he unleashed his divine art, Mystic Tone Tao Venerable thrust both hands behind him and violently tore the rift. With a thunderous crack, it expanded tenfold. Now the rift seemed infinite, stretching across the collapsing ceiling ground, spreading outward in all directions. The sound of the roaring sea waves was deafening, and from the massive crack, an endless surge of purple sea water rose to a height of 10,000 feet. Within it, billions of faith spirits rushed out like a tidal wave, heading straight for the great Barren sage, who was rapidly approaching the Mystic Tone Tao Venerable. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. In an instant, the towering purple sea collided with the 5 poisons of the great Barren sage, and the deafening sound of the collision reverberated. The ceiling ground shattered into fragments, and the 3 individuals were fully immersed in the misty sea of the ancient tomb. The mist swirled and retreated in all directions. The great Barren sage's figure was on the verge of being swallowed by the purple sea, but just at that moment, a roar was heard. A purple-black beam of light shot out from the great Barren sage's lips. It was a tongue unlike any human's, purple-black in color. The moment it shot out, it collided with the approaching purple sea. A thunderous boom echoed, and the great Barren sage let out a muffled grunt. The purple sea surged past his strange tongue and crashed into his body, causing him to spit out blood as his physical form shattered. A wisp of soul essence split off and quickly retreated. At the same time, the purple sea water changed color. The original purple hue turned into pitch black ink the moment it touched the great Barren sage's strange tongue. The stench of decay surged as the entire faith sea transformed into a poison sea. Within the sea, the 5 poisons, once distorted and nearly collapsing under the impact, immediately merged into 5 streams of black mist and rushed towards the Mystic Tone Tao Venerable. In an instant, Mystic Tone Tao Venerable spat blood and retreated rapidly. 3 needles had pierced his forehead, half buried, expanding into blackness. The 5 black mists swirled at the gaping wound in his chest, taking the shape of the 5 poisons, and burrowed deeply into his body. The faith sea was tainted, and though he was poisoned by a strange venom, he had managed to destroy his opponent's body, leaving only a wisp of soul essence. In this battle, Mystic Tone had barely won. However, if it weren't for Wang Lin, this would have been a simple victory. But with Wang Lin's presence, everything changed. Wang Lin had long been prepared. As he neared, his eyes flashed with cold light. As Mystic Tone Tao Venerable was retreating, their distance closed rapidly. In the blink of an eye, they were less than 30 feet apart. Mystic Tone Tao Venerable kept coughing up blood and suddenly turned his head. He raised his right hand and swung it backward. With a mighty explosion, his right arm detached from his body and self-destructed, scattering into a shower of blood and bone fragments, creating a violent wind that swept toward Wang Lin. Within the violent wind, there was the killing strike of Mystic Tone Tao Venerable's severed arm. He was already on the verge of exhaustion, and he had no choice but to kill Wang Lin if he hoped to survive. Get lost. Despite being ambushed by Wang Lin's bloodsword earlier, Mystic Tone Tao Venerable still saw Wang Lin, a cultivator who hadn't reached the 3rd step, as an insignificant ant. Wang Lin paused. As the violent wind came crashing toward him, he raised his right hand and slammed it onto his forehead. In an instant, a star point from the ancient god appeared at his brow, and the celestial emperor furnace surged forth from it. The illusory celestial emperor furnace almost instantly turned tangible. As it appeared, the violent wind struck it. The celestial emperor furnace rumbled and vibrated. But at that moment, its part-facing mystic tone began to melt. A hidden killing intent, long suppressed, erupted in an instant. A figure shot out from the melting furnace and plunged into the raging wind. As this figure appeared, a massive black statue emerged in tandem. This statue, resembling a demon god, crossed its arms. With a low roar, it released its arms, and an earth-shattering power exploded out, surging toward Mystic Tone. The timing was perfect. It was at the exact moment Mystic Tone Tao Venerable was gravely injured and close enough that he had no chance of evading. He never imagined that this insignificant Wang Lin, like an ant, would possess such terrifying abilities. Ling Dong. Mystic Tone Tao Venerable's face changed drastically, and disbelief filled his eyes. Before he could speak, the destructive force from the statue enveloped his body, and within that force, the spirit Agile Sage's right hand pressed firmly on his forehead. The 3 needles shot deeper, embedding another inch into his skull. However, they didn't completely enter. Mystic Tone Tao Venerable let out a desperate scream as his body was entirely covered in black, the poison inside him exploding. Under the destructive force, he was gravely wounded and on the brink of death. His body was hurled backward, blood mist bursting from him as he was sent flying. At the same time, the great Barren Sage's shattered soul essence rushed forward, aiming to enter Mystic Tone's body and forcibly seize control. This is Wang Lin's trump card, the most powerful and unexpected strike he has prepared for his opponent. Despite this, Mystic Tone Dao Venerable, being one of the 5 ancient sovereigns, is incredibly powerful, even if it's just a suppressed clone. If it weren't for the fact that he underestimated Wang Lin's surprise attack with the Blood Sword, followed by the fierce battle with the Great Barren Sage, and finally the devastating blow under the Sage's most powerful divine ability, Wang Lin would never have been able to injure him. The most crucial factor, however, is that Mystic Tone Dao Venerable's understanding of Wang Lin only goes as far as the Emperor Star. He never expected Wang Lin to be able to subdue a spirit agile sage who was half a step into the 3rd step. This is the deadliest key. Yet even so, when the spirit agile sage unleashed his divine ability and struck out, he was still repelled by the backlash, spitting out blood and tumbling back. Even the statue collapsed and shattered. Wang Lin, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, his ears ringing, was struck by Mystic Tone's sharp sound that pierced his body, causing his essence spirit to sting, and he coughed up more blood as he staggered back. But after stepping back a few paces, Wang Lin forcibly stopped, his eyes gleaming coldly as he stepped forward. Ignoring the tumbling Mystic Tone, he swung his right hand, causing the celestial Emperor Furnace to suddenly expand to a size of tens of thousands of feet, instantly enveloping the black ocean within. The sea had already been poisoned, reeking of a foul stench. The endless faith spirits within were contaminated by the toxins, becoming poisonous souls, unable to contribute even the slightest bit of faith power. However, this entire poisonous sea was an invaluable treasure to Wang Lin. He had to seize it before the Great Barren Sage. After refining it in the celestial Emperor Furnace, if he could turn the entire sea into a single water droplet, the power of that droplet would be enough to shake a 3rd step great power. As for the Great Barren Sage, despite his eloquent words, Wang Lin knew better than to trust him easily. Their cooperation was based solely on mutual benefits. A creature who had cultivated for tens of thousands of years was far too cunning to be underestimated. If he could break his oath with Mystic Tone, he could just as easily break his agreement with Wang Lin. Wang Lin knew this all too well. Thus, when the Spirit Agile Sage acted, Wang Lin had already prepared the way, ensuring that Mystic Tone's body tumbled even further. He had also refrained from fully striking all 3 needles into Mystic Tone's forehead, leaving a sliver of hope to buy some time. The Great Barren Sage's split soul sped towards the tumbling Mystic Tone, instantly turning into a ball of black gas and entering Mystic Tone's 7 orifices, beginning the cruel soul-snatching. Had Wang Lin struck all 3 needles earlier, Mystic Tone would have had no way to resist. But now, the situation was different. The two were once again battling with their divine senses inside Mystic Tone's body. This gave Wang Lin enough time to collect the entire poison sea. Without hesitation, he performed a hand seal, growling as he gathered all the sea water into the Celestial Emperor Furnace. The Celestial Emperor Furnace contained countless realms. With Wang Lin's cultivation, he could only open 2 at once. Now, with a wave of his hand, one realm absorbed the poison sea while another collected the released ancient slave. At this moment, as Mystic Tone Dao Venerable and the Great Barren Sage fought for control inside his body, the massive rift in the ancient tomb mist, which had torn open to reveal the vast sea of worship sea dwellers, rapidly shrank. It went from tens of thousands of feet to almost disappearing entirely. Wang Lin could not let the sea of worship vanish. His alliance with Great Barren Poison was for the sake of Mystic Tone's faith power. Though he had no use for the faith power himself, the ancient slave Spirit Agile was half a step into the 3rd step, only lacking faith power. With enough faith power, the ancient slave Spirit Agile would finally step into the 3rd step and become a true 3rd step powerhouse. Wang Lin's eyes burned with madness as he charged forward toward the shrinking sea of worship. Inside that realm, there was still an endless, untainted purple sea, and within it, countless faith worshippers. These were gathered by Mystic Tone Dao Venerable over tens of thousands of years and were the foundation of his position as one of the 5 ancient sovereigns. The surrounding mist had already been pushed far away from the shocking battle, with a faint rumbling sound like a shockwave reverberating. The sealing ground had long collapsed, and all the cultivators inside were dead. Below, the mist sea, having been impacted by the battle, was pushing downwards, exposing vast open spaces. But at that moment, something sudden and terrifying occurred. Within the mist sea, the mist suddenly turned violent. As if erupting from an underground spring, massive amounts of mist sprayed upwards at an unimaginable speed. More astonishing was the appearance of a gigantic arm, tens of thousands of feet thick, that suddenly reached out from below the mist sea. As soon as this arm appeared, an overwhelming pressure filled the entire mist sea. The arm's speed was so fast that it almost instantly neared, opening its palm and reaching for Wang Lin and the body of Mystic Tone, who was currently fighting for control over his own body. This arm, Wang Lin had seen before. His face changed drastically as an immense force struck him, nearly tearing his body apart. That arm moved with lightning speed, striking Mystic Tone down venerable in an instant. She spat out blood as the great wasteland seized the opportunity to forcibly suppress her essence spirit. Yet in that brief delay, her body was sucked into the massive hand, unable to break free. In the blink of an eye, the enormous hand swept toward Wang Lin. Its 5 outstretched fingers were like colossal pillars holding up the heavens, now crashing down, grasping fiercely at him. A powerful shockwave burst forth, forcing blood from Wang Lin's mouth. He couldn't escape the range of the hand no matter how he tried, but he refused to accept this. More than just resisting being captured, what he couldn't accept was how close, less than 100 zhang away, the fissure to the devotional realm was. That fissure had already shrunk to less than 1,000 zhang and was on the verge of vanishing entirely. If it disappeared now, the victory Wang Lin had achieved, joining forces with the Great Wasteland to severely wound Mystic Tone, would be lost in an instant. The life-saving divine ability sealed within the ancient god bracer on his right arm, Ancient Blessing, had already been used recently and couldn't be activated again. Each use damaged the bracer further, bringing it closer to destruction. As the giant hand closed in at terrifying speed, Wang Lin had no time to think. At that critical moment, he roared to the heavens, eyes filled with resolve. With a clenched jaw, his body began to expand violently. In an instant, he grew to hundreds of zhang in height, his ancient god true form now fully unleashed. The sudden growth caused his massive body to tower over the closing hand by more than 200 zhang, erasing the 100 zhang gap between him and the shrinking fissure to the devotional realm. Seal. With a low growl, Wang Lin swung his right hand, and 2 ancient breath leaves instantly shot to either side of the remaining fissure. The crack paused, halting its collapse for a brief instant. In that split second, Wang Lin's ancient god right hand, like a meteor, thrust into the fissure and grasped fiercely within, yanking out countless worship souls. At the same time, the arm extending from within the mist sea slammed into Wang Lin's body below his chest. Agonizing pain exploded through him as the power within the arm surged into him, threatening to crush his physical form. In that same moment, the arm yanked downward with ferocious force, trying to drag Wang Lin and the great Barren sage, who had successfully seized a host, down into the mist sea. The pull was overwhelming. With nothing to hold on to in midair, Wang Lin's right arm was about to be torn from the fissure, his body dragged violently downward. At the last possible moment, he let out a roar and, as his arm was being pulled out, he grasped the edge of the fissure near the sealed ancient breath leaf. Channeling his ancient god power to the extreme, he raised his left hand in a blur and grabbed the other side of the fissure. The sight was stunning. From afar, it was an awe-inspiring scene. A towering ancient god hundreds of zhang tall, clutching the edges of a fissure like it was a torn piece of fabric, holding it open with raw might. Below his chest, a massive hand clutched him tightly, dragging downward with relentless force. As the pull intensified, pain surged through him like a tidal wave. Wang Lin felt as if his body was being ripped in half. With a sickening tear, the fissure itself was forcibly ripped open along with him, extending downward for 100 zhang. Within the torn fissure was revealed an endless purple sea and a flood of worship souls. Without hesitation, Wang Lin's eyes burned with frenzy as he opened his mouth and inhaled fiercely toward the fissure. Now wasn't the time for restraint. He had to absorb as much devotional power as possible. With one massive breath, the worship souls surged toward his mouth like a tidal wave. His body became a bottomless pit, greedily devouring the worship souls. In a single breath, he had taken in a full tenth of the devotional power within the fissure. But in that moment, the arm's pull dragged his body several thousand zhang downward. Still, Wang Lin refused to let go. His hands clung tightly to the fissure's edges, preventing it from closing. As he was dragged downward, The fissure was forcibly torn open even wider, becoming two vertical rips stretching thousands of zhang. Heavenly Emperor Furnace. As the fissure widened, Wang Lin roared. The Celestial Emperor Furnace surged forward and plunged deep into the fissure. Its mouth opened wide, revealing another world inside, and began to absorb violently. Torrents of purple sea water, along with endless worship souls, were sucked in without resistance. In the blink of an eye, another 2/10 of Mystic Tone Tao Venerable's devotional realm had been devoured. With 2/10 of the purple sea absorbed, the furnace was filled to its limit and could absorb no more. All of this happened in an instant. Wang Lin, enduring unbearable pain, released his grip. As he let go, the Celestial Emperor Furnace turned into a ghostly light and vanished into his forehead. Even the two ancient breath leaves were retracted the moment he released his hold. His body was then wholly seized by the enormous hand and dragged down into the mist sea, disappearing in a flash. The rolling fog surged from all directions, quickly filling the vortex left by the arm's appearance. Before long, everything here was shrouded in mist, and no abnormalities could be discerned. Gradually, things calmed down. Several hours later, a group of over 20 cultivators on a platform sped past from a distance, unaware of anything unusual. Strange, according to the map, there should be a sealing ground here. We've been searching for a long time, but we haven't seen anything. Could the map be wrong? The crowd gradually faded into the distance. Wang Lin's body from the chest down was gripped by a massive hand, pain coursing through him. However, the fingers didn't tighten further, seemingly just wanting to restrain Wang Lin's body. The great Barren sage, who had taken control of Mystic Tone Tao Venerable's body and suppressed her soul, was sitting cross-legged in the palm of the hand. His gaze flickered as a dark, gloomy expression covered his face. Within this giant palm, 3 broken stone platforms were also drawn in, one of which was the burial platform of Wang Lin and Mystic Tone Great Barren Wanderer. The platform was only slightly damaged, with many cracks appearing on it. Clearly, the hand had no intention of crushing the platform. The great Barren sage's eyes flashed coldly, and his right hand raised, fingers clawed, black energy swirling around them, containing intense poison. With a cold snort, he was about to press his fingers down onto the massive palm, but at that moment, Wang Lin suddenly spoke. "Senior, please hold your hand." The great Barren sage furrowed his brows and struggled to lift his head, looking at Wang Lin as the hand descended rapidly, tearing through the air. "Senior, you've just taken over the body and haven't fully adapted to Mystic Tone's doppelganger. Your mind is still unsettled. This strange arm isn't descending in a straight line," Wang Lin said, as a faint booming sound echoed within him. His body, which had been hundreds of feet tall, rapidly shrank, instantly becoming the size of an ordinary person. At the same time as his body shrank, Wang Lin suddenly dropped, letting the hand's fingers close in with a deafening sound. Landing in the palm of the hand, Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with strange light, and his right hand casually rubbed his forehead before speaking slowly. The great Barren sage was no ordinary cultivator. His schemes ran deep. At this moment, he seemed to be awakened by Wang Lin, noticing the subtlety of the situation. Indeed, the arm wasn't falling straight down, it was slanting. "Senior, if you provoke this strange arm, it will likely clench into a fist immediately. At that time, neither of us will be able to resist." Wang Lin casually took a few steps back, lowering his right hand from his forehead and letting it hang by his side. As he did so, his body retreated several more feet. "What do you mean?" The great Barren sage, having taken control of Mystic Tone's doppelganger, twisted his face as it slowly morphed back into his true, sinister appearance. Inside the massive fist of the arm, as the fingers curled, they left numerous gaps like a small continent. Wang Lin, while retreating, sat cross-legged around 100 feet away from the great Barren sage. Right before the sage's eyes, Wang Lin took away his and Mystic Tone's burial platforms. His face was pale, but his eyes glowed with sharp brilliance. "I was just observing the trajectory of this massive hand's descent and had a guess. If I'm wrong, then we can act together to find a way to escape. But if I'm right, the appearance of this giant hand may not be a bad thing for us," Wang Lin said slowly. As he spoke, Wang Lin raised his right hand and continued, "If its goal was to capture us, the arm would have dropped in a straight line. but as we can clearly see, it's tilted. So, it can only mean. Wang Lin's right hand dropped as he leaned back. After tilting back a certain distance, his right hand suddenly shot forward, and a blood-red light spread around his body. Like this. The great Barren Sage's eyes narrowed, and he didn't stop Wang Lin from taking Mystic Tone's burial platform. With a wave of his own hand, he took his own burial platform, revealing a thoughtful expression. In an instant, he seemed to have realized something, glancing at Wang Lin. "You're more clever than I thought." "It's not about being clever. It's just a guess." Wang Lin shook his head. While the two were speaking, the huge arm, having tilted to a certain angle, suddenly trembled. It seemed to freeze in place, as if suspended in the mist. The roaring sound instantly faded, and the surroundings became eerily silent. Wang Lin's expression grew solemn. His mind spread throughout his body, his entire being feeling like a top bow, waiting to see whether his guess was correct. The great Barren Sage clearly trusted Wang Lin's guess. His expression was also tense, preparing for action. At that moment, a sharp, ear-piercing roar suddenly erupted, followed by a deep, muffled growl that seemed to come from the depths of the misty sea beneath. The arm moved. It was like a giant throwing a stone. As the arm tilted back, it suddenly launched forward with a mighty force. The huge arm, under the thunderous roar, shot forward like an unstoppable force. The power of this throw was beyond description. The speed was so fast that the parting mist seemed to become sharp blades, crashing down on Wang Lin and the great Barren Sage with a deafening crash. That arm swept in a wide arc and, at the moment it reached its limit, the 5 fingers released. With a thunderous roar, Wang Lin and the great Barren Sage were hurled like stones, flung violently by the giant deeper into the ancient tomb. The immense force of the arm became a crushing impact, launching them forward at a speed that surpassed even that of a third-step great power. The roar of their passage echoed as they shot ahead. The speed was terrifying. If Wang Lin didn't possess the flesh of an ancient god, he would have been crushed by the invisible mist ahead. Though formless, the mist became the hardest substance imaginable when met with such extreme velocity. Wang Lin's body trembled violently. Blood spurted from his mouth, but he tore through the layers of mist in an instant, hurtling deeper in. He had foreseen this and prepared thoroughly. The moment his body was flung out, it recoiled like a drawn bow released, his energy surged, defensive layers flared out, and a shield of light and shadow formed around him. Just before being hurled, Wang Lin even stomped hard on the giant's palm with his right foot. Using the force of the throw and his own counterforce, the two merged. His speed suddenly surpassed that of the great Barren Sage, surging past him and vanishing into the mist. This clever maneuver would have been suicidal without the path of strength enlightenment of the Black Tortoise clan. Only through that technique could Wang Lin convert the recoil into momentum. Without it, the result would have been annihilation. Although the great Barren Sage was wounded, Wang Lin had suffered injuries as well, and with the man's allegiance still unclear, now was the perfect chance to break away. In truth, if the other hadn't schemed so deeply and struck at the arm earlier, Wang Lin would never have voiced his suspicions. In fact, he still harbored doubts. The other might have already seen through the giant arm's descent and deliberately acted as he did. But there was no time for analysis. Escape was the only option. The great Barren Sage moved at blinding speed. Flung out by the arm, he shot forward like a meteor. When he saw Wang Lin suddenly overtake him, disappearing into the mist, a strange light flickered in his eyes. At some point, his right hand had formed a seal, and now he slowly released it. This man is cautious and cunning. I've already tried to kill him 3 times, but he dissolved each attempt effortlessly. I had planned to poison him while he was vulnerable mid-flight, but he saw through it and used the momentum to escape. The great Barren Sage's expression darkened as his figure vanished into the fog. Wang Lin streaked through the mist at incredible speed. It roared around him, his shield of light and shadow repeatedly shattering and reforming. The restriction seals he had laid crumbled layer by layer. Only after half an hour did the momentum begin to fade. As his speed slowed and the mist could no longer harm him, Wang Lin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked back, eyes cold and sharp. After a moment, he turned and retrieved his burial platform. Sitting cross-legged upon it, he took out the mystic tone burial platform as well. With a heavy strike of his right hand, a deep boom rang out. All the numeric runes on it burst forth, and with a wave of Wang Lin's hand, they surged into his own platform. As the runes merged, his platform trembled violently. Brilliant light flashed, and the platform rapidly expanded, from 3,000 to 4,000 zhang in size. Its color turned pitch black, as though merging with the mist itself. A fourth-order burial platform. Wang Lin didn't stop. With a grasp at the air, nearly 100 more runes appeared, ones he had secretly gathered from the fallen cultivators within the shattered sealing ground. Now he released them, fusing them one by one into the fourth-order platform. Another thunderous boom erupted, and it expanded once more, reaching 5,000 zhang in an instant. From a distance, it looked immense and awe-inspiring. The mystic tone platform had already been close to fourth order. Now, with Wang Lin's 100 runes, his platform had leapt into the fifth order. Seated atop it, Wang Lin immediately felt tendrils of spiritual consciousness surge from within the platform, burrowing into him. He was not surprised, he had experienced this before. As he focused, 2 more sections of the map within his mind burst open. 5 maps now connected, peeling back nearly half the veil that shrouded the ancient tomb. When he pinpointed his current location, his eyes narrowed sharply. I actually ended up here. In the span of just half an hour, that giant hand's throw had carried Wang Lin through 3 maps, crossed the 4th map, and hurled him to the edge of the 5th. He had completely left the tomb's outer regions. This was the true interior. On the 5th map, not far ahead of Wang Lin, there was a leaf-shaped marking, indicating the presence of a forest. Wang Lin was familiar with this forest, as it was the very place where the greedy wolf had obtained the ancient breath leaf. It was also here that the greedy wolf had witnessed the statue that caused the silver-clad woman to scream in terror. The 7-colored statue. In this location, there was a massive burial platform, 6,000 zhang in size. On the platform were numerous severed heads, seemingly scattered, but in reality, they formed a head formation. With blood filling the air, in the center of the platform, an old man sat cross-legged. The old man wore black robes, with half of his black hair turned white. His face rapidly shifted between youth and old age. Above his brow was a crescent-shaped mark, not the mark of the moon-devouring tribe, but an ominous, demonic seal. If Mystic Tone Dao Venerable's doppelganger had not been usurped, upon seeing this man, her pupils would have constricted, and her mind would have gone on high alert. This person was one of the 5 ancient sovereigns, the 9 heavens demon Venerable, who had been gravely wounded and left during the fall of the earth. As the 9 heavens demon Venerable sat cross-legged, his eyes suddenly snapped open, and black and white light flashed from within. The 6th. The 9 heavens demon Venerable mumbled in a hoarse voice, like 2 flying swords grinding together. Within the 4th map, mist swirled like a vortex, and clouds surged. It seemed as though countless wronged souls were howling in agony, the sound reverberating in the ears and shaking the soul. In this region, cultivators were rare. As the mist rolled, a burial platform, 5,000 zhang in size, could be seen advancing rapidly. A giant man stood on the platform, his upper body bare, exuding a powerful aura. Behind him, a huge wolf shadow was manifesting, seeming to roar in fury. The platform was covered in dried blood, and the man had several wounds on his body. He was the 3rd-step great power from the Fontian wolf clan, who had chased Wang Lin into this ancient tomb. As the platform raced forward, the man's face was grim. But suddenly, his eyes flashed, and his right hand formed a hand seal, pressing down on the empty space beneath the platform. Instantly, a loud rumbling echoed in his mind. After a while, the man's expression darkened even further. Another 5th-tier burial platform has appeared. I wonder which great power this belongs to. In the depths of this ancient tomb, above the mist sea, countless sealed platforms floated. Beneath the dim sky, a 5,000 zhang platform sped forward. On the platform stood a woman in white robes, her black hair flowing as she exuded an indifferent expression. While moving forward, she suddenly furrowed her brows. After a long moment, her eyes flashed with cold light. Who could it be? Perhaps it is that mystic tone. The woman muttered softly, her expression thoughtful, as the platform continued to speed onward. In an even deeper part of this ancient tomb, beyond the reaches of the mist, only endless gusts of air howled through, seemingly capable of tearing apart the defenses of both flesh and artifacts. A low growl echoed, and a figure, several dozen zhang tall, could be seen walking forward with heavy steps. His speed was slow, but the endless wind slammed against him, each gust leaving a wound, causing the figure to roar in pain. Behind this figure floated a 7,000 zhang burial platform. On the platform, a woman in pink robes sat cross-legged. She had a seductive appearance, exuding an enchanting charm that could captivate anyone's mind. Brother Tuasin, hurry up. Whether I can enter the depths of this ancient tomb depends entirely on you. The woman in pink giggled, covering her mouth. Her alluring eyes sparkled, and her voice was honeyed, almost like a soft moan, causing ripples of desire in the listener. Shut up. "You damn temptress, if you keep making noise, I'll—" Before Tua Sin could finish his roar, the woman's flirtatious laughter echoed again. With a single laugh, her body trembled, like a blooming flower. "I just love your rough nature. Why don't we stop for a moment, and I'll give you a little reward to vent your anger? How about it?" Tua Sin's face turned red with fury, his veins bulging. He growled, ignoring her, and walked forward. The two of them gradually disappeared into the distance, with only her provocative laughter lingering in the air, fading slowly. On the fifth map, Wang Lin pondered for a moment. Just as he was about to withdraw his divine sense from the burial platform, suddenly, the divine sense that had entered his mind from the platform shifted, transforming into an ancient voice that echoed through his consciousness. "You have unlocked the fifth-tier burial platform and opened the gate of reincarnation, becoming one of the chosen to inherit my legacy. The 9th level is the end. If you belong to my tribe, you may enter the gate of reincarnation to seek the inheritance. If you do not, the first to reach the 9th level may claim my underworld realm. I am Yima." The voice reverberated in Wang Lin's mind. In the instant it faded, Wang Lin suddenly felt as if his divine sense had merged with the entire ancient tomb, clearly sensing that, aside from him, there were 4 other faint auras hidden within this tomb. W. Yima. Wang Lin's mind trembled. This was the second time he had heard this name. The first time was from the first-generation Vermilion Bird. He clearly remembered that the first-generation Vermilion Bird had once said, "I don't know much about the cultivation of ancient gods, but in my time, the power of the ancient gods was enough to shake the heavens and earth." Back then, Daogu Yima, though not listed among the immortal venerables, was strong enough to make even the immortal venerables wary. Wang Lin fell silent for a long while. His eyes glowed with a sharp light, and he began to contemplate. With Wang Lin's intelligence, he could naturally deduce that the 4 auras he sensed, like his own, were from 5th stage or higher tomb platforms. If I could sense their presence after reaching the 5th stage of the tomb platform, then they must have sensed my appearance by now. This ancient tomb is full of strange things, and the underworld mentioned in that voice. What is it exactly? After thinking for a moment, Wang Lin's gaze flickered. He suppressed the fluctuating emotions caused by the voice and lowered his head to glance at the tomb platform beneath him. His heart had already confirmed that within this ancient tomb, the tomb platform was the key. According to the voice, it seems the goal is to quickly make the tomb platform reach the 9th stage before anyone else. Wang Lin looked up toward the distant depths of the mist. In that direction, as marked on the map, lay the strange forest. Greedy Wolf discovered the ancient breath leaf and a statue there many years ago, and he once said that when he touched the statue, a vortex appeared. He entered it and left the ancient tomb, appearing in the outer realm. I wonder if that vortex still exists. Regardless, I must explore this strange forest. Having made up his mind, Wang Lin maneuvered the tomb platform forward at high speed. Along the way, he sat cross-legged, quickly performing breathing techniques to heal his injuries, so he could recover as soon as possible. He also dispersed his aura, which gradually attracted many humanoid ferocious beasts hidden in the mist. As each beast approached, it was instantly killed in a flash of bloodlight, its life essence flowing into Wang Lin's body, rapidly healing his wounds. The slaughter continued as Wang Lin moved forward, and several hours later, after Wang Lin passed, countless ferocious beast corpses were consumed by the mist. After a long while, the tomb platform slowed down. In front of it, there was no mist, but instead, a yellowish, withered color that spread out, distorting into a strange form. Wang Lin opened his eyes while sitting cross-legged, looking at the distortion ahead. His divine sense extended forward, but as soon as it touched the distortion, it was immediately forced back by a powerful force. His eyes flashed, and he saw that the yellowish distortion flickered violently. In an instant, an imprint of a tree leaf appeared within it. The imprint was exactly the same as the ancient breath leaf. He raised his right hand and grasped at the air. An ancient breath leaf appeared in Wang Lin's hand. He flicked it forward, and the leaf flew straight into the yellow distortion, landing perfectly in the imprint. A loud roar erupted, and immediately countless cracks appeared around the imprint, as if it were collapsing. In the blink of an eye, the cracks expanded outward and, in an instant, tore open a gap. Without hesitation, Wang Lin withdrew the tomb platform, stepped forward, and immediately entered the gap. As soon as his body passed through, the gap slowly closed, once again forming the distortion. A withering aura faintly surrounded him, and within that aura, there was a strong scent of death. When Wang Lin appeared, he saw that this place was an endless forest, with all the trees dried up into skeletal remains, revealing a ghastly scene. This is it. Wang Lin's gaze swept over the area. Everything here matched Greedy Wolf's description exactly. Wang Lin stepped forward at high speed, heading straight for the center of the withered forest. This forest was immense, endless. Even with Wang Lin's speed, it took him quite a while to see the center, a patch of land that was free of dead trees. In the center, a swirling vortex floated, spinning continuously. Inside the vortex, there was nothing but pitch blackness, as if it led to another world. Wang Lin landed 100 yards outside the vortex and stared intently at it. Beneath the vortex, there was a depression in the ground. It seemed that a statue had once stood there, alongside a tree that had not yet withered. The ancient breath leaf is a precious treasure. Since it was born here, there must be a way to create more. Wang Lin stepped back a few steps and approached a withered tree trunk. He placed his right hand on it and extended his divine sense into the trunk, observing carefully. But just as his divine sense entered the tree, Wang Lin let out a soft sound of surprise. He clearly felt that his divine sense followed the roots of the tree deep into the ground beneath his feet, where he faintly saw something that left him both astonished and uncertain. Wang Lin quickly withdrew his right hand, leapt into the air, and looked down from above. This massive forest, its shape, was unmistakably the form of a giant head. So that's how it is. His gaze swept through the withered forest, piercing through to the underground. After clearly spotting the hidden object beneath, a cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. Without a second thought, his right hand suddenly waved in front of him, and bloodlight surged. The blood sword materialized, transforming into a long rainbow that shot straight toward the ground below. The sword energy howled, moving with explosive force. At this very moment, at the end of the fourth map, the giant from the Foreseeing wolf clan was speeding along the burial platform beneath him. Following the path in his mind, he broke through the fourth map and emerged into the fifth map. A savage grin appeared on his face, and a greedy glint flashed in his eyes. The moment he stepped into the fifth map, he flipped his right hand, and a leaf from the ancient breath leaf appeared in his palm. I've worked hard, fighting for this, and finally managed to snatch one of the two leaves. Unfortunately, the other one was taken by Ling Dong and is now lost. This leaf seems plain, but if it weren't for chasing that damn little cultivator, seeing the immense power of this leaf, and its strange force comparable to the Seal Annihilation clans, I wouldn't have known its importance. At the end of the fifth map, there's a leaf mark. Perhaps there's more of this stuff there. The giant licked his lips, controlling the burial platform to speed toward it.